Now, I don't want to assume anything, but, you know, when you think about, you know, some of your trajectory, and I love these sober-minded, grounded pivots, right? It's kind of like when you're pursuing a passion, it almost becomes like, what are we doing here? But of course, there's the reality of this is consuming the business side, the numbers, the strategic component. You know, so I don't want to assume what your moment has been, but I always like to ask this question in light of these many pivots, the growth, you know, the growth mindset and evolution of your brand. What's your defining moment? Like, you know, you got personal life, you got, you know, your family is coming to fruition. Yeah. What did you say has been your defining moment and why?
Oh man, it's a good question.
You hitting it from, you know, you're hitting from different channels are opening up in mainstream media. It's one thing to, you know, I tell people this is, you know, before you answer the question, I'm like, well, if you want to partner with the NFL, you need to have done something already, right? Right? It's like, and so you start to see these different creators and people, and that's what has basically happened for Knicks Fan TV. You created a product so valuable where now the mainstream media and other particular parties and channels said, no, we need to get this guy in here. Yeah. So, you know, and I can't make that your defining moment because life is holistic and, you know, what your success in the marketplace in these different sectors are just an example, in my personal opinion, of who you are. So what would you say for you again?
I would say it was when I appeared on the Max Kellerman show.
Nice.
I would say it was that because in the beginning, it started off as one segment. And it was kind of like the Knicks fan versus the anti-fan, and you know, me representing the entire Knicks fan base, and him, you know, the villain role that he played on First Take was like, you know, everything he could to be anti-Nick.
No doubt.
And so it was a 12-round battle that first episode, but then they extended it. Then they extended an invitation to come on the next week.
Nice.
Came on the next week, same confrontation, but as the weeks went by, the conversation flowed more in the general NBA conversation.
Nice.
And then he started, you know, really taking a liking to me, really trying to school me to the game, teach me what was going on behind the scenes, what I needed to do, what I need to freshen up on. I think that was a defining moment because it was, you know, the respect from an industry OG.
OG.
But someone, because Max Kellerman came up from public access television, someone that understood the path that I was trying to build. And
dope.
I would say that was certainly the moment because from there, then the SNY opportunities came about and then ultimately WFAN NBA Radio as well.
Nah, that's special. Yeah, I'm one of these dudes, and Max is one of those early people to kind of give me an extra love lump from a helmet catch perspective as a New York sports guy. But my first time I ever saw Max was in the boxing space. So just an interesting tidbit. I never knew he was a public access guy. So, you know, I'm a big fan of people who get it the right way. Catch the Moment is this platform of what's the journey, right? Yeah. When people see you at a place of pinnacle success, you know, oftentimes we miss the recipe that formulates that iconic moment. And you know, like I said, it's easy to see that the best is yet to come for Knicks Fan TV, but you've cultivated that. So what would you suggest for, you know, people who are kind of like trudging through the mud, have a, you know, what would be like that 3-piece recipe in relation to whether it's establishing brand, you know, finding your lane, your sector, to, you know, to navigate some of those pain points, that process that brings you to your moment?
I would say for one, you know, I interviewed Mike Bree, Knicks play-by-play, NBA Hall of Fame announcer, and one of the pieces of advice he gave me was you need reps, right? You need reps. Yep. You got to keep going every single day.
It's good.
And you may not have the right formula. It's just like your first question when it was like, what platform was ideal? You won't know until you try it out. You got to test something out here, spread it here, and see what the reaction, what the engagement is. So you need those reps.
Yep.
And that can be almost like the equalizer for a lot of people. Because I tell people all the time, it's like, if you're not consistent, you're going to bail on this thing the moment you see, like, you're not getting that many views, you're not getting a penny for your thoughts.
That's it.
It's a lonely world out there. But it can grow into something if you keep it consistent and learn from that. And then secondly, I would say always be learning. That was one of the things with me, like, during the journey and even now.
Yeah.
I'm focused. I'm reading something. I'm watching something. I'm listening to something
Yeah.
to get a leg up. What do I need to learn to do, right? Behind the scenes, we were talking about the cameras.
Big facts.
I had to learn that. And based on an emergency, I had to figure it out.
Sure.
And so I'm always curious. I'm always trying to learn and always trying to improve by at least 10% each day.
Nice.
And that doesn't even have to be in the craft. It could be physically, emotionally, mentally, whatever it is.
Sure.
Just trying to enrich your spirit for some point for at least 10%
Excellent.
each day. And then, you know, I tell people all the time to try to pull out the qualities or some of the themes from previous walks of life, right? Because we're always going to pivot.
Sure.
But there's things that you can take with you, even when it's not aligned.
Yeah.
And continue on your path. Like, for example, like me being in a sales and marketing role.
Yep.
I'm always selling, right? Even when I'm in the camera talking Knicks,
I'm
selling myself. I'm selling the content. I'm selling the watch party. I'm selling, you know, this and the third. So those things help me.
That's great.
Right? If I'm on SNY and I'm you know, prepared to put my best foot forward in front of the camera.
Sure.
Those are like me going to the board meetings back in the day, or
Nice.
because you know you got to come with it at 10 times harder than the next guy to get that respect and the credibility. So that's always my thinking. I always got to be prepared. Got to be on point. Got to look sharp and put my best foot forward. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
All right, man. Listen, I think you said a whole lot there, man. Always taking those transferable skill sets and bringing them everywhere you go. Never losing something. That's something, like I said, I never planned to be a full-time entrepreneur in the middle of the pandemic, right? So it's kind of like the native space of being a grinder, understanding your value. What would you say as an entrepreneur, as a person who created the lane for himself, what was when we talk about complementary skills or partners, right? What was the thing that you was like, man, I'm not good at this. How do I bring that into my ecosystem so that we can keep a high quality product? What did it come through a person? Did you have to learn the skills yourself? What was the area? You got sales, operations, marketing, and finance, right? Mm-hmm. What was, everybody's typically not a master at all four.
Right.
What was that thing that you had to supplement, and how did you best get to it so that you could sustain the quality of your product?
Yeah, I would say three things. Certainly our graphics,
sure,
our graphic overlays. And I would say every aspect of what I do, I've learned or I've tried at some point. Nice. It may look like chicken scratch, but
yeah.
I got to try it. I got to know the process. I got to figure out how do we make it more efficient? How do we streamline it?
Excellent.
And so when you're getting it out the mud in the beginning, I had experience in all those things. I would make my own graphics. I would put my own thumbnails together. I would put my own Instagram things together. Woo. But ultimately you say, okay, I got to take that time away, focus on this, and I got to give this to someone else. But the beauty of community building, when fans see an authentic person in front of them, they want to support it. The beauty of that over the years was that people would reach out to me all the time.
Nice.
Like, yo, I'm a photographer. Can I come to this event and help you out? I'm a videographer. Can I help you out here? I'm a graphics guy. Check this out.
Fire.
And that's how it happened.
Man, that's beautiful.
My graphics guy now, shout out to Gamba, sent me a DM on Instagram, like a full template of a clip from a show. Check this whole thing out. And over time, we just kept working together. And I said, I got to bring him on board. So
natural, organic relationships.
Yeah, definitely. I would say definitely graphics and the video production. Like we talked about behind the scenes, just having someone who knows, okay, this is the lights we need. These are the cameras.
Yeah.
These are the microphones. This is how we need to run the internet connection, especially when we're out on the road. I needed that skill set to take me away from that planning. So I was blessed in that regard. No,
it's great, man. It's because, like I said, it doesn't happen by accident, and you eventually, to keep quality. And, like I said, there is this process, and I think people shirk the process, right? And most of us get imposter, somewhere along the way, you get, imposter syndrome starts setting in, and you just got to crush those ideas and those voices that aren't leading to the end.